Hey, what's up? Thanks for tuning into this episode of the Business Life and Coffee show with Joey Price. This week, I had such a great interview with my friend Dominique Broadway that it's going to take up the full length of the show today. But I want you to pay attention to some of the things that we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about how she's maximizing her time during COVID, what it's like to have a family and manage a business and a launch in the midst of a pandemic, and also the importance of wealth building and how she's doing it and teaching you to do the same. You don't want to miss this episode. Check it out, and I'll see you on the other side. Thanks for coming back to the Business Life and Coffee show. This segment is called Coffee Shop Q&A, where I like to get my good friends, experts, leaders, and sometimes it happens to be one person wrapped all in one. And today is one of those examples. We have Dominique Broadway, a really good friend of mine. We go all the way back to God knows how long, maybe high school or something. But it's been incredible to see her growth, a growing family, growing career. She's helping a lot of people, y'all, and we're going to talk about what she's doing. But Dominique, say hello.
Hi. Hi, Joey. Yeah, thank you so much for having me today. I'm excited to be having this conversation.
Yeah, so I typically like to ask people, how have you been impacted by COVID? What's been going on? How have you been spending your time?
Yeah, it's hard to put in words, right? This the time that we're in. We're in such unique times. But I'm the kind of person that, I'm very optimistic and try to, make the most of all the situations. So I haven't necessarily been directly impacted by COVID, thank God. I think in my business, speaking engagements were canceled and postponed because there were no in-person events, and no one in my family's been affected, or immediate family has been affected by COVID. Like I said, thank God so far. But I've really been using this time to learn more skills, to be fit, to get fit, and also just, spending time with my family. I have a new daughter. Well, she's 10 months now. And also just spending time, honestly, just trying to make myself better, focusing on growing my business. Like I said, focusing on my body and spirituality as well. And that's really what I'm trying to do with this time, because it's rare, it's unique, and hopefully we never have to go through these times again. So I want to make sure that I'm making the most of the time of this time now.
Yeah, I love that. And I feel like there are two ways we could have taken this. Well, I think there's three. We could have leaned into the pain of COVID and the economy slowing down and fear and anxiety and all of that. Or we could have just done nothing and sat on the couch and watched Netflix and watch life passes by. Or, what you're doing, we could have said, I'm going to make the most of this opportunity. I'm going to get better in some areas, take advantage of the time that I now have and invest in myself. And I think that's great. And
I will honestly say the first week when all this started happening, I didn't immediately just I got to better myself. I was just like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. The fear sunk in, the anxiety sunk in. And I remember one day just crying, oh my God, what is happening? You know what I mean? And then it was after a week of just binging on Netflix, it was probably about a week. And I was like, okay, enough is enough. This is all, the pity party's over. We have to make the most of this time. So I definitely had my few days where I was just oh, the world's coming to an end. So yeah.
Yeah, no, that's real. That's real. That is absolutely real. One of the things that I've seen that you've been doing though is, and I know that you're a financial guru. If someone asks me who are the top three people that I know and trust for finances and finance information, you're in that top three for sure.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Not only I know you, but then I also know you've helped so many people. I've been seeing now is an uptick of you're investing and you're teaching a course and what are your thoughts on just investing in general and why it's a good idea to pay attention to it right now?
Yeah, it's interesting. And it's such a great question because as you see, and I think we've all seen, I feel like everyone's getting more intrigued with the stock market. I don't know if it's because people just have more time on their hands, or if because people are just looking for additional ways to make money, right? Even myself, and I kind of actually before COVID happened, I started to get back into investing. So as you know, but most people don't know. So I was previously a licensed financial planner and stockbroker. So investing is really my foundation, my core. I made strategic financial plans for high net worth individuals. But as I started my business Finances Demystified, I really focused a lot more on the budgeting and goal setting and saving and helping people pay off debt. And I didn't really focus on investing as much as I used to. And so even before COVID, I personally just kind of started to fall back in love with investing. Investing is something I've always done, but I hadn't been doing it as actively as I used to because I was focusing on building my business. And so, with this year and the way things are going, I kind of got more excited with investing and got back into investing, like I said, because we have a little bit more time on our hands. And I think it's such a great time. I think it's always a good time to invest, but I think, during these times with people losing their jobs or having a reduction in income, I know people who, they were blessed not to lose their job, but they were notified that they are facing a 30% pay cut. And this is not the time where we need to be getting our pay cut. So people are looking for opportunities to, like I said, make money to build wealth. And that's something that I talk a lot about because I think it's really important. I think with the stock market, it's one of those things that isn't complicated, but has been portrayed to be very complicated because it's a wealthy man's game, right? It traditionally has been a wealthy person's game. It's where they go to go and make money and build wealth. And so people who feel as though they don't have enough money to invest shy away from it, right? Mm-hmm. And so one of the things that I do, and I like, my goal with Finances Demystified is to do exactly that. Demystify finances, make it something that's easy to understand, easy to digest, something that anyone could say, oh, I get this. We just launched, like I said, we're doing the master classes to teach people just the basics of investing. And then we launched the wealth transfer investing course recently. And we, got a tremendous response to this course, which is really exciting. But people are like, it's blowing my mind. Like people are literally starting to make like hundreds and sometimes thousands of extra dollars a day just trading. And they're like, wow, this is not, and it's not easy, but they're like, I get this, I can do this, right? So I think it's just really exciting that people are using the stock market to kind of regain control of their finances and regain control of their ability to earn income.
Yeah.
Right. So I even, there's all this stuff about the equal pay and the gender pay gaps and all that stuff like that. Right. And it's just like, what, forget all that is kind of the aspect I took. I'm like, I'm going to worry about how much money I can make on my own and how I can pay myself so that I don't have to worry about the fact that this man makes more money than me or this person makes more money than me and we're in the same role, right? So I think it's really cool, like I said, that people are using the stock market and investing to regain control of their ability to make money on their own terms.
That's what I love most about investing.
Yeah.
Investing is the great equalizer. In the same way, and maybe even more, that the internet made the world the internet was a great equalizer for small businesses who wanted to hop on, or influencers who want to hop on and build a brand. The stock market, it doesn't care your race, your gender, your ethnicity. Nope. The only thing it cares about is, do you have the money to play, and are you going to make smart decisions?
Yes.
That is the only thing that matters in investing. And you definitely have to ramp up to get there. But I mean, I have a portfolio I'm looking at right now, and I was literally on vacation last week on a boat in the middle of the ocean looking at my investments. And I'm like, I'm literally getting paid just to sit on this boat and spend time with my wife and daughter. Like,
and that's to me, that's what life is about. Like, keeping it simple. It's really about spending time with whoever it is that we love the most and not having to focus and focus on money and the stress that we allow it to create for ourselves. We kind of, I think people talk about the American dream, right? I think it's almost like the American debt story, where it's like, go to college, get in debt, buy a house, get in debt, buy a car, get in debt, buy all these things. And then you're in debt and then you're stressed, and it's like, whoa, stop that cycle. Right. And so I think, the American dream now has changed, right? We share a love of travel, and, one of the things that I love to do, my fiance, we love to travel. We're in Miami right now. We work for a couple hours in the morning, or more than a couple hours. We're in the middle of this launch, head to Soho House, head to the beach, head to these awesome places. And we get to spend time with our daughter. And it's not necessarily having to work this 9 to 5 that we traditionally have been raised to feel like we have to do, right? Yeah. So that's another thing, like I said, that I love about investing. And one of the things we teach in the course is how to make money from your phone. Most of the trading I do is from my phone. I'll get up, pop a couple trades in, and then spend time with my daughter. And I think, that's really that's what life's about, enjoying it, just enjoying it.
I want to talk about some of the myths of the market that you can demystify for people, maybe as like a segue into talking about your class, but also just the general myths that people have about the market. But can you think of that light switch moment for you, whether that was as an adult, whether it was as a child? At what point did the light switch on for you that oh my gosh, this investing thing is pretty important, and I'm starting to see the fruit of that? What was that moment for you?
Yeah, I think, so there actually have been 2 light bulb moments for me. So one, when I was, and I'm super finance nerd, so probably when I was 16, and I really started learning about investments on my own. I was just really interested to how can I take this money I have and make more money, right? I'm working these jobs. I want to turn this money into more money. And I started buying stocks, like Apple and things like that. I think Apple was 30 or $40 a share at the time. And so I never forget, my Apple shares went from $30 to $90. And I was like, oh my gosh, sold all of them. Obviously the dumbest decision ever.
You'd be a billionaire by now.
I probably wouldn't even be on this podcast. I would be on my own private island. I would literally would have millions and millions and millions of dollars. But anyway, that was the first time where I was I think, around that age, 16 to 20 or so, right? And it playing around with stocks and saying wow, I put this money into this market. I bought this company and the price went up. That's, the value went up. I have more money. I can cash it out and probably go buy something dumb, right? So that was the first time as a youngin'. And then the second time where that light bulb moment went off again for me is, now I'm much older. I'm not 16 anymore, 35. I have a fiance, I have a daughter, and I never forget, it was a few months ago, and I had just started trading binary options. I've always traded stocks and bonds, mutual funds, ETFs, and regular options, but I just started trading binary options within the past 5 months. And I never forget, I was sitting in bed and I was trading some options on my phone. And I was sitting there breastfeeding, and I was trading, and I had made $1,000 before the market had opened while breastfeeding, laying in bed. And I was just like, this is powerful.
Yeah.
So that was that moment for me where it's but it's a different time in life,
Yeah, that's good. And I think you make it practical even for the listener here who may have children and they're wondering what's a good time for their child to learn about the market. Well, you can invest in Disney because Disney Plus just popped off and that stock is rising. And I mean, it's a good time right now in general. It's a bull rally at this moment. But there's always an entry point. And I think that's to your point. There's always an entry point to get into the market.
Yeah.
I love what you said about when you were with your child and you were breastfeeding, you were making money. You made it tangible. $1,000 in the bed. It's chilling. It's chilling. Doing what you would normally do. Yeah. And that I love that. You just made it real for everybody.
Yeah, and I guess and that was for me. It was like, okay, wow, this is powerful, and I love obviously my business. My business has been very fruitful for me, but I think it's just those small moments where I'm like, okay, I'm sitting here, so I'm on my phone. I'm like, I guess I'll trade some options while I'm breastfeeding, and boom, I made this money. And so that's one of like the things that I want people to understand that we don't have to always work a 9 to 5 and then get paid every 2 weeks. Like we really can take our income back into our own hands, and if that's through investing a business or whatever it is. But I think it's important for people to shift their mindset. And that's another thing that we focus on in our course, is preparing people for the wealth that they're going to build. Because for a lot of people, this is the first time they've made this much money. If you're used to making, 20, 30, or maybe $10 an hour, and then you're starting and have the ability to invest some money and see it grow, you have to be prepared mentally for that. Right. And so I think, having that wealthy mindset is something we really focus on. It's something that I even focus on, and like to educate, because it's important to be mentally prepared for the money that you have coming your way. Because if not, you'll just blow it on stupid stuff,
Yeah.
So I think that's important as well.
That's so key. I think one of the things, not so much a myth, but I think there's even this guilt factor that I have being in the market, because it's like, it's two-sided. One, like, how did I make so much money so fast? Because I think the positions that I'm in right now, I literally have an 80% return over the course of a month. Wow. And of course I was in Apple, it popped, whatever, all that.
Yeah.
That was the big workhorse. But it's like, how did I make so much money doing so little?
Yeah. And, there's guilt that comes with that.
Get into that. Yeah. And then it's like, well, why haven't I been doing it? So why did I just start? Or why did I just, just focus?
And that's interesting, because I mean, that's like I said, people in our course, that's one thing they're saying. They're like, man, I wish I knew this earlier. I wish I had started sooner. And I think it's like, always start whenever you're ready. But I think it's also, like you say, there's a guilt that comes with it, because, with technology, it's a lot, dare I say, easier to make money, right? Due to technology. I think about my grandma all the time, and how she, she's worked for the post office, right? So she worked in the office of the post office. And I remember she would get up every morning at 5 a.m. to get to work by like 7. And she would get up and she would, fight traffic, and then, be there for 8 hours and come home and then wait for the paycheck. Right. Yeah. And now I think, there's guilt that surrounds that, where you're like, I'm on a yacht or I'm on a boat and I just made thousands of dollars in a couple minutes, or what, you know what I mean? And there's that guilt where it's like, I didn't work 8 hours. I feel bad. Yeah. So that's even something that I've had to deal with over the past couple of years, and especially this year, where it's like, oh, wow, I can't believe it. I made it and I feel blessed. I was able to execute my trading strategies correctly. Yep. I did my fundamental and technical analysis. I made some money, and now I have the rest of the day. I almost felt guilty for not working 8 hours, because you feel like you're supposed to. And so I think, that's kind of where that mindset comes in. But, I think, like I said, it's important to regain control of your earning ability. It's very, very important.
Yeah. And gain control of your time, which is really the most precious resource we have, because, we put in those 8 hours a day, but typically that's 8 hours plus the 2-hour round trip commute. And then how much time are we spending with the people we love? How much time are we spending at the gym? How much time are we spending bettering ourselves? We're putting that big chunk of life every day we're dedicating, and then we don't have our full selves to give to everything else that matters.
Yeah. And I think people are noticing it even more, during COVID, how much time we actually do have, because, for a lot of people, they are forced to work from home if they're fortunate enough to be able to work from home. Right. So that, like you said, that commute time is gone. The lunch break is all day, right? You really can be home and you're like, okay, I have more time. I can use this time to hopefully better myself and not just lay around. But you really realize how much time you spend, going to this job. So I think, the world in general is changing as far as how we work, which is exciting. I always knew that we were headed this way. I didn't think it was going to happen this year, and it was going to happen so drastically, so abruptly, right? Where people are finally, realizing that you can work from home and still be very productive, right? So that's really exciting for a lot of people that I meet who are like, yes, I get to work from home. I love this. So yeah, we're interesting times for sure.
Yeah, super interesting. And I love that what you're doing, essentially the work that you're doing is
Thank you.
You're normalizing wealth building and legacy conversations.
Yeah.
Within the Black community, outside the Black community, within the communities of women, outside the communities of women. But, I just love the fact that that is now the conversation that you're amplifying and elevating. You've always done it through the finances and budgeting and things, but this season that we're in now, we didn't even get to the racial inequality of like the George Floyds and all that stuff. But you're saying, hey, let's pay attention. Let's do what we can, control our fate, control our legacy. And so you got this investing masterclass. You're going to teach people how to invest in the stock market, build wealth daily, and create a legacy for your family. Tell people a little bit about the course, what they can expect, and when they can attend, and how they can sign up.
Yeah. So we'll be launching live investing master classes the next 2 Sundays, and basically, like you said, we're going to be covering all that. Just going over stock market basics, like how do you start investing for literally as little as $5. The strategies that we're using, what we like to call our daily income strategies, how you can actually start trading and hitting your daily goals. We have people now who making 100 a day. We have someone in the group chat who said she made 5,000 last night. I was like, wow, that's impressive, right? Like, you made more than me. So it's really exciting just to see people regaining control of their income, like I said. So that's some of the things we'll be talking about. Also, just talking about the recent stock split that's happening with Apple, with Tesla. What does that mean? How do you take advantage of it? How do you look at charts to determine, what usually happens after stock split? Historically, after Apple stock splits, they always split and shoot back up, right? So this is, possibly, this isn't investment advice, but possibly a good time to potentially buy Apple, right? So we'll be covering all of that. So I would say you could just go to financesdemystified.com and you should be able to see a link there to register for the investing masterclass. Or you can also just go to my Instagram, Dominique Broadway, and the link is in the bio to register. And then even after the investing masterclass, we'll offer everyone the ability to join our wealth transfer investing course. So we are in the middle of a huge wealth transfer. It's a $68 trillion transfer of wealth happening over the next, I believe, 10 to 20 years. And we're trying to align people to be in the receiving end of this wealth, right? And learn how to bring wealth into your family and start creating a legacy, which is something, like you mentioned, it's very, very important to me as a new mom. My daughter's 10 months, she already has a fully funded Roth IRA, right? All these different things we want to talk about. So yeah, please join us and get this free knowledge and start changing the way you look at wealth and how you build your wealth for you and your family.
Yeah, and I definitely, my wife says she's going to sign up for the course, so she'll be on Sunday, and
it's so good. Like I like what I love is like how excited everyone is, and like to see everyone's win. So in our group chat, we have a win section, and people post their wins and it's like, I literally was almost in tears this morning. I was just like, y'all are really getting this. And it's changing lives. It's really exciting. So
that's dope. That's dope.
Obviously I'm excited.
I know. And you have over 700 people registered. So there's a lot of people.
Yeah, it's a lot of people. It's exciting. We have, it's cool. It's really cool.
Yeah. No, that's
I feel very blessed to have this knowledge to share. It's exciting.
Well, you're stewarding it well, and you're not keeping it to yourself. That's the main thing. And, for me, with the investing and like the eye-opening moment for me, you talked about like your daily goals, right? Mm-hmm. But for me, I look at the goals of my account, and then I look at my, the liabilities that I have. I mean, we just paid off our car. So really right now it's like, mortgage and all this other stuff. But when I look at, oh, I can make X amount in the market and that could cover my monthly liabilities.
Yeah.
What do I do with my income? Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Do something else with it. Yada, yada, yada. So
look, invest it to make more.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why I need to be in your class. But, you know, it just changes your outlook on money, and it changes your outlook on debt and what you can do with basically money for nothing when your money's working for you.
Yeah. It changes your outlook, like you said, on life.
Yep.
And it gives you that, removes a lot of pressure, a lot of financial pressure, and it gives you that freedom and flexibility to move how you want to move throughout life. Because a lot of people haven't been able to make the moves they want to make because of financial pressure. So imagine if you're able to relieve that through whatever method you choose, how would you move?
Yeah.
Like, what would you do every morning? What would you do every day? Like, how would you help your family? Would you travel? Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's the stuff. And I like people to think about that. Like, what would you do if you could do whatever you wanted to do?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And it's powerful. Cause a lot of people don't even, they're like, I never thought about it because I never thought it was possible. Well, it is possible. Right. So yeah.
It's possible. And if you want to know more, check out Dominique IG,
Definitely.
Check out Finances Demystified. Any closing thoughts that you want to share with the audience today?
Yeah, I would say just in general, as we're going through these unique times, I know a lot of us are under a lot of pressure and stress. You know, please, and this is something that's been really helpful to me, focus on what you can control. Don't focus on the things that you can't control. Focus on what you can control when it comes to investing, when it comes to trading, when it comes to family, when it comes to your health. Focus on what you can control, and it will relieve so much stress and pressure from your life.